Hello, my name is Shanna Eith, and today I am going to be discussing the fundamentals of language development in early childhood. In the first 3 years of life, when the brain is maturing and developing, it is an intensive time for children to acquire speech and language skills. As infants and children develop, there are critical periods in which the brain can best absorb language. Exposing children to a world rich in sights, sounds, and the speech of others helps them develop speech and language skills. While children vary in their development of these skills, a checklist of milestones for children from birth to age 5 does exist, which helps professionals determine if a child is on track or needs additional help. For the purposes of this video, I will be discussing the fundamentals of language development, which are auditory development, articulatory development, the first words, and grammar development. Auditory development begins in the womb as the cochlea and auditory nerve begin pre-processing signals for different frequencies and intensities. It's truly amazing that newborns and infants have the ability to store and replay sounds within the auditory complex, which leads them to becoming used to the patterns that are used in specific languages. There are several behaviors that professionals and parents may look for to see if their infants are developing in the auditory phase correctly, or to see if they're on track. And these include reacting to loud sounds. So do they startle when they hear something that's loud? Are they able to respond to low frequency sounds or sounds that are close by? Also, are they turning their eyes in search of sounds? And do they enjoy hearing themselves make noises such as babbling and cooing? Another thing that they can use to track auditory development is if children are recognizing sounds that are familiar to them, such as a spoon hitting a bowl when it's time to eat. So these milestones do continue to be tracked throughout early childhood, and as children learn to filter background noise and receive reinforcements from those around them, they will become more comfortable with the things that they're hearing. And as they begin to babble and make their first letter sounds, it'll be because they are imitating those that were around them. So some of those first letter sounds they'll be able to make are P, M, H, W, and B. Those gradually increase as children learn to make sounds from the back of their throat and move into the articulatory development stage. During this phase, children gain motor control of their tongue, jaw, lips, and palate to produce sounds. So for example, they may be heard making sounds such as K, G, or G, and an F, or the end ing for ing. The production of these typically begin around the age of 2. Children do continue learning to make vowel and consonant sounds for speech, and it's normal for articulation errors to be made. However, by the time a child is 3, 80% of what they're saying should be understood, and by the time that they're 4, most of everything that they say should be understood even by strangers. So babies are learning to speak from the time they're born. They do so by watching and listening to those around them. They express themselves with words for the first time from around 9 to 14 months of age. And eventually that babbling noises that they were making will sound more like words. And they're even combining sounds of their own to make invented words. So in addition to understanding gestures, they'll point to things that they want. Some common first words are hi or bye-bye, and some are even more concrete like dada, kitty, or milk. And at this point, children are focusing on words with sharp intonations, such as stop or no. In the beginning, children learn a few words a month. Usually they prefer nouns, and then they work into learning verbs and adjectives. They may even experiment with one-word questions such as cookie, and then they'll enjoy saying no when you ask them, may I have a cookie? The language explosion, as many experts refer to it as, occurs around 19 to 20 months of age, and at this point, they're learning up to 9 words a day. So grammar development progresses from that point on. So initially, children speak in 1 or 2 word sentences. Then in stage 2, they speak in simple, ungrammatical sentences. And in stage 3, it involves speaking in simple, grammatically correct sentences. From there on, in stage 4, it involves the construction of complex sentences. So although the auditory, articulatory, first words, and grammar development stages all begin to emerge at different ages, they do continue to develop simultaneously with one another. So many of the milestones for one stage will be similar to other stages. So I wanted to mention a few milestones for grammar development, and they may sound similar to behaviors previously discussed. So for example, behaviors the previously discussed are early language users. From 12 to 36 months, they have begun using single words, and they begin combining them together at around 24 months. At this time, they're learning to use suffixes like ing, the ing, plurals, so they're adding an s to the end of words, and past tense, and then they're adding the ed. They're using a combination of words to express ideas such as which or whose thing it is, or a person that's doing something. And eventually they're going to start using apostrophe s's at the end of words to show possession. They are also showing regular past tense, and then they're adding apostrophe s's on some verbs. So from 30 then to 60 months, sentences have a function. They're more complex, they may have more than one verb, and the introduction of conjunctions begins. So as adults, we have a huge amount of vocabulary to share with young children, exposing them to these ideas, and they will continue to develop up until they're around the ages of 7 or 8 years old, when they've kind of learned the rules of grammar and they're using them correctly on a regular basis. So with that constant repetition, with us guiding them, they will be able to move from one stage to the next correctly, even though it might not be at the same time as all of their peers. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.